Unfortunately, the pair lived in the same trailer park where David also happened to live, so the drive was short. Gale dropped JJ off and then went to his own home. Shortly after, David's sister leaves her brother's home for the night. But this wouldn't be the last time someone would see David alive. The next moments are truly known only to JJ and David. Around 9 o'clock that night, JJ entered David's home, and a fight ensued, leading to the scene described earlier. Forensics indicate the bloody struggle started in David's bedroom and moved towards the front door. The cause of the altercation is unknown, though we will discuss theories mentioned in court later. Overpowering David must not have been too difficult for JJ, who at 42 was 20 years younger and more physically fit due to his job as a maintenance worker. On the other hand, David's family and court documents share that he was a chronic alcoholic for 25 years and had undergone brain surgery, resulting in a valve being placed on his head, which had to be regularly drained. Records show David had also been hospitalized recently due to intoxication and suicidal thoughts. Likely realizing he went too far, JJ panicked and called his teenage daughters who lived. One of his daughters answers in disbelief. JJ, her absent father, says he needs help urgently. Don't let their laughter distract you. By keeping their manner relaxed, the girls were able to allow a key murder suspect to continue talking. Additionally, they listened to their gut and began recording their conversation without JJ's knowledge. These recordings would ultimately be crucial exhibits for the prosecution at trial.
Okay.
It's 443. Please call her. Tell that person to come here now.
Okay.
I'm not sorry. I love you, alright?
I love you too. Do you want me to call her?
Absolutely.
What the? Call it. Just call it. Just call it.
Her name is Heidi.
Okay.
You tell her that needs to get here right now. Tell her it's important. And to hurry it up, please. You know, not playing.
Alright, I texted them.
Can you text her 911?
Alright, I did.
Look, she is going to be scared. And hey, trust me, she's tripping. Yeah, I can't talk about this. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your sister.
Well, your friend didn't answer.
Of course not. She's not a friend.
Oh.
She's someone I love.
Oh. I'm sorry for having this so good. Bitch.
Hey, do you know how to sign?
Yeah.
Can you, well, not your name, ding dong.
Oh.
Sign language.
Oh, no.
Of course not. Alright, so I'm gonna show you this, alright? That's how you say I love you.
Why does this matter, bro? I don't get it. I'm sorry, I'm so good. I'm sorry.
So it's I-L-O-V-E-Y.
I'm sorry for having bitch. I had no clue.
I know. That's not a gang sign.
I've never seen something like this. Of course you don't know a sign.
God damn it.
Not your damn dumbass.
Don't be like this.
I won't. He knows everything but still tells me.
Due to the girls recording on Snapchat, they were limited to filming for 1 minute at a time. During a break in between recording, JJ seems to have informed them that somebody was gone, piquing their curiosity.
You know that I love you both.
Can I know who's gone?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because they're a bad person. And it's not me. Sometimes I'm like, we're gonna think I'm trash. And I want you to know that you both, alright?
Alright.
And I'm proud of you. This is very, very important.
Okay.
I get it.
No, wait a minute. There's not going to be an attack on a European target outside the Ukraine. There simply isn't. You can have Sergei Karaganov, you can have Vladimir Solovyov, you can have a bunch of military bloggers outside of Russia saying the Russians can hit targets outside Ukrainian border, in the NATO area, in the area covered by Article 5. It's not going to happen. And it doesn't need to happen because, and we just go back to where we were, because what has happened inside and on the battlefield has not cut the battlefield off from its sources of supply, its sources of electricity. Why attack US capital that funds and aids this war? Why attack it? In order to deter it from continuing the war. Make for US capital this war more expensive than they calculate they can profit from. It's simple. It's a profit calculation. Trump trumpets this profit calculation. We, the United States, the Trump administration, have never made so much money from the war in Europe as now. He's trumpeting the same approach in the Middle East. He will have his war against Iran financed by the Arab Sheikhdoms. This is what he says. So, to the extent that it's possible, that war has to become too expensive for a president to risk his political future. That's what I'm saying. And unless you strike a capital base that Needham calculates every single day, you don't have a recalculation of cost, benefit, profit. You don't. So Russia can do both things without this grandstanding about nuclear attacks on NATO targets or Oreshnik attacks on drone factories in Germany. That's what it is a deception. When it's done by significant Russians in the public realm. Sergei Karaganov, a think tank professor,
before winter,
Zolovyov, a talk show host on television. When it's done by them, it's a deception operation. It's
why would you do that? And why would you even call me to help you? If you're the man, why would you do this to yourself?
Upon hearing the last message, Heidi went to David's house unsure of what she would find. Inside, she discovered JJ shirtless and covered in blood, with David laying
To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent...
David from committing suicide. But according to Heidi's testimony, David denied this accusation and exclaimed, "No, I didn't. You kicked my ass," accusing JJ of assaulting him. The voicemail JJ left for Heidi appears to support David's version of events. When prosecutors asked Heidi how JJ was handling the situation in that moment, Heidi said, quote, "He was watching me. It was a weird look, I guess. I don't really necessarily know how to describe it, but it was like he was watching my reaction or something. I don't know how to put it into words, I should say." Heidi recounted that after giving David a glass of water, she accidentally stepped on a hammer. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she grabbed her jacket and at a steadily increased pace, walked out the door and then ran to her car.
I smell a little. Have y'all been smoking? I don't smoke. Let me know if you find anything else.
How did they just search that court, brother? How did you just let them do that, brother?
Uniform police work can be broken down into two functions: calls for service and self-initiated activity. And vehicle stops is the bread and butter of self-initiated activity.
But she declined. Intimidated, she started the shower for him. During these moments, JJ muttered, "Pedophile," possibly trying to justify his actions against David, although no evidence supported such accusations. While JJ was in the shower, Heidi tried to leave, but he jumped out of the shower soaking wet and barred her from leaving. She explained she was only getting water from the kitchen and convinced JJ she was not trying to escape.
Hi already, today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, and our dear friend Professor Malandi is here with us.
That she saw JJ standing in his doorway, watching her drive off.
Just in the last 2 days, they were hitting large areas with missiles. And this is the question, is...
But it wasn't just them. So in any case, in Afghanistan, the first generation of the Taliban were brutal. But after the American took over, and
tell Hezbollah what to do, or it's 2 days they were hitting large areas with missiles. And this is the question: is Iran going to tell Hezbollah what to do, or it's all about Hezbollah and their, sort of policy and decision when it comes to confrontation with Israel? What is that?
the major problem in the West is just like they underestimate Iran, they don't understand Iran's sophistication, how sophisticated Iran is. It's how its defense doctrine, how sophisticated it is, how its military industry, how sophisticated it is, how sophisticated the state institutions are, how steadfast and how politically aware its people are. They don't understand the relationship between Iran and these entities. They don't understand that Hezbollah is not a proxy. Whenever you hear they say Iran's proxies, you can tell that they don't know what they're talking about. As soon as they say proxy, just you have to start ignoring them or taking what they say with a grain of salt at least. These are not proxies; these are allies. They have agency. They have strong motivation. They're resilient. They're resistant. They have. They believe in what they're doing, and that's what makes Hezbollah so strong. That's what makes Ansarullah and the Yemeni armed forces so strong. Lebanon will be liberated. First of all, there won't be a deal between Iran and the United States without these changes taking place. We already discussed these. But in the case of Yemen, the Saudis brought this upon themselves. Yemen things have been becoming more and more complicated because Yemen has gradually been becoming more angry that the Saudis will not end the siege on Yemeni women and children. And the West is fine with it. These Arab regimes and all those regimes who we're told are joining this Saudi coalition. They support the Saudi regime, but they'll do nothing for Gaza. That just shows. That says everything. That says more than for each and every one of their apologies. But all those regimes who allegedly are joining this coalition, if this is true, they want the Saudis to be able to continue to enforce a siege on Yemen, just like Gaza. So, again, it just tells us who they are. It's really unforgivable. But, and it will fail. Yemen will not be defeated by any Saudi coalition, which would be a sub-coalition, a subordinate to the Epstein coalition. And I hope no country in this region really takes part in this. Saudis may be lying. We'll have to see what happens in the days ahead. So I don't want to accuse anyone, because just because the Saudis have named them, that doesn't mean anyone has joined. But in any case, the point is that Yemen has been increasingly angry and saying that this is intolerable. But the Saudis, when they bombed Yemen's Sana'a International Airport, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And they bombed the airport as an Iranian passenger airliner was landing because they wanted to enforce a siege on Yemen. So they enforced a siege on the sea and by air. That's barbaric, and they've been doing it for years. Yemen said after this airstrike that enough is enough, and they began striking back. Then the Saudis went and bombed the port. First they bombed the airport, then the port. Why? Because they want to isolate Yemen to prevent food from coming in, to prevent the industry to grow. They want to make people miserable. So now Yemen is saying, okay, you make us miserable, we'll make you miserable. And this is the best time to do it. The Saudis initiated the conflict, and the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So that makes their closure of the Bab al-Mandeb all the more effective, because the Saudis have no options. So Yemen is determined to end the siege, and that's Iran supports it completely. Iran's position has always been that, it's been telling the Saudis to find a solution with Yemen. It's the Saudis who refuse to do so, because they're determined to make Yemen submissive to Saudi Arabia. It's not going to happen, especially with Ansarullah. It's impossible. Ansarullah is like Hezbollah. They're not going to be supported. We saw that along with Hezbollah and Iran, that they were the only entity that supported the Palestinian people, and they paid a huge price. The Americans attacked them, waged war against them, and failed. They're not going to be subordinate to Saudi.
Get over $2,500 in savings when you install new high-efficiency propane equipment with Dead River Company. Plus, get 3-year low fixed propane pricing and expert support from people you can count on. Get a free estimate at deadriver.com.
Is Iran seeking dominance in the region as an outcome of this war, or something else is happening in the mind of Iranians?
When Saddam Hussein was overthrown by the Americans, by the way, Iran, when neighboring countries, Turkey under Erdogan and the Persian Gulf, they were all supporting the overthrow, or at least they assisted the United States. The Iranians were the only country that did not cooperate, and Iran officially opposed it. As a citizen, I was a part of the anti-war coalition in the UK. I was in the protests against the war. So sometimes you see these people online talking nonsense and saying Iran supported the United States and Iraq. That's nonsense. That was not the case. The Iranians oppose it completely. But Iran took that opportunity to undermine the United States. All of those Iraqis that were in Iran encouraged to go back into Iraq and to gradually undermine the U.S. authority there. They were successful. So, but when Saddam fell, Iran could have said, okay, we're going to take control over this territory or that territory now that Iran, in compensation for Saddam's war against Iran. Did Iran do that? As we speak, Nima, I don't know right now because of the strikes on Iran and some of the problems Iran may have with electricity and natural gas. But at the moment we don't lose electricity. But some problems exist, so exports may be more difficult. Iran exports electricity to Iraq and gas. And the Iraqi government, because of the threats by the United States, does not pay for it. So Iran, despite all the sanctions, is helping the Iraqi people. And every time people in the government want to cut this or decrease it because of the problems at home, Ayatollah Khamenei always said, look, the people of Iraq are under pressure, they don't have electricity, keep the gas and electricity flowing. So Iran never took anything from Iraq. Iran never took compensation. According to the Resolution 598 in the UN Security Council, Iraq would pay compensation to Iran because the UN Secretary General said that Iraq was the aggressor. But Iran never took anything from Iraq and actually helps Iraq. Iran spent, many of its young men were martyred in the fight against ISIS and the liberation of Iran. So Iran has no ambitions, but the West likes to project their own characteristics on Iran. Iran has no bases in Yemen. Iran has no economic ambitions in Yemen, nor in Lebanon, nor in Afghanistan. One of the interesting things, and I've said this before, I don't know if I've said this on your show, but in Syria, Iran fought against ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and rightly so. And so the Saudis and the Qataris and Erdogan and the Emirates and their propaganda machine, they would say this is a sectarian war. The Iranians are supporting. Iran never cared about Assad. Assad's wife was Sunni, but Iran didn't care if he was Alawi or Sunni, Shia, or Christian, or Druze, or Kurd. It didn't matter to Iran. The issue was that the Americans were opposed to him. He was no saint. His government was the government that was ideal to Iran, but he was like in Cuba. Iran supports Cuba. Iran supported Venezuela. Hopefully, one day the Venezuelans will rise up. Iran supported Syria because of the U.S. empire, the Zionists trying to undermine it. So it's a war against the empire. Iran sacrificed for Syria. It didn't gain anything. But it wanted to keep the axis of resistance strong. So those people who were saying this is sectarian, they were talking nonsense. What's the evidence? I often say Bosnia, for example, Iran saved Bosnia, Sunnis. But most importantly, in Afghanistan, and this is something that you know, Iran, the Taliban, when the first generation of the Taliban, they were brutal and they were genocidal, and they slaughtered Iranians in Mazar Sharif, and they slaughtered minorities. But after 9/11, and when the U.S. went and overthrew Al Qaeda, and then back then I thought, in Iran, everyone thought that Al Qaeda did 9/11. It was just them, and they took claim for it. Years later, gradually emerged that the situation, 9/11 was much
Alexa, play
more
classical
complicated
reading
than
music.
that. And I think probably Iran's
The
reaction would be
station,
very
Classical
different.
Focus, free on Amazon Music.
And
Alexa,
anyway, I back then I used to ignore people who would say that 9/11, those people were dancing in New York and all those other things. I mean, people should go and watch Tucker Carlson's documentary on 9/11.
Alexa, volume 3.
These tools
Alexa,
were used just as they were used in Syria, just as they were used in Libya, and so on, but it wasn't just them. So in any case, in Afghanistan, the first generation of the Taliban were brutal, but after the Americans took over, a new generation came. And even though Iran has huge differences with them over women's rights, over schools and education, but in any case,
don't say
Iran began
education.
supporting them. Who got angry with Iran? Many Tajik's, the Persians,
sad, huh?
many Shias,
I know, when you really
many
understand it for what it
Uzbeks, those
is.
who are victims of the Taliban.
And what,
or who
they're
were,
trying to explain
but
in the
Iran
best
was
ways
saying
they
that
can.
the
These are
chief
kind of examples
evil
of
is
experts
the
of people
empire.
from around the world.
Whether it's Syria, whether it's
They were just
Iraq,
having this
whether
discussion
it's
just this morning
Afghanistan,
live,
whether
a
it's
few hours
Palestine,
ago.
wherever, whether it's in Venezuela, whether it's in Cuba, it's the empire.
Anyways, we're on page 123, book number 15, Writers of Modern England. A Forsaken Garden. Which one? Alright, page 118. Hertha. I am that which began. Out of me the years roll. Out of me God and man. I am equal and whole. God changes, and man, the form of them bodily. I am the soul. Before ever land was, before ever the sea, or soft hair of the grass, or fair limbs of the tree, or the flesh-colored fruit of my branches, I was, and thy soul was in me. First, life on my sources, first drifted and swarm. Out of me are the forces that save it or damn it. Alexa, volume 3. Out of me, man and woman, and wild beast and bird, before God was, I am. Beside or above me, naught is there to go. Love or unlove me, unknow me or no. I am that which unloves me and loves. I am stricken, and I am the blow. I, the mark that is missed, and the arrows that miss. I, the mouth that is kissed, and the breath in the kiss. The search, and the sought, and the seeker, the soul, and the body that is. I am that thing which blesses, my spirit elate, that which caresses with hands uncreate, my limbs unbegotten that measure the length of the measure of fate. But what thing dost thou now? But what thing dost thou now? Looking Godward to cry, I am, thou art thou. I am low, thou art high. I am thou whom thou seekest to find him. Find thou but thyself, thou art I the grain and the furrow, the plough cloven clod, and the plowshare drawn through, the germ and the sod, the deed and the doer, the seed and the sower, the dust, which is God. I had to take a sip of water, which is God. Hast thou known how I fashioned thee, child, underground? Fire that impassioned thee, iron that bound. Dim changes of water, what thing of all these hast thou known of or found? It is God. The cup that it's in is God. The kula, which keeps it cold until I wish to drink it with my precious sweet lips, is God. The people who keep the waters clean and running freely, that's God. The knowledge. I know. Who taught them all of this? Is there anyone to give credit to? Huh? Who's reaping the rewards? I sure hope so, sir. I really hope so. Canst thou say in thine heart, thou hast seen with thine eyes, with what cunning of art thou wast wrought in what wise? Wast, W-A-S-T. Thou wast. Alexa, Volume 1. Thou wast wrought in what wise? But what force of what stuff thou wast shapen, and shone on my breast to the skies? Who hath given, who hath sold it there, knowledge of me? Hath the wilderness told it thee? Hast thou learnt of the sea? Hast thou command in spirit with night? Communed? Hast thou communed in spirit with night? You need a little more light. Have the winds taken counsel with thee? Have I set such a star to show light on thy brow, that thou sawest from afar what I show to thee now? Have ye spoken, has breathen together, the sun and the mountains and thou? What is here, dost thou know it? What was, hast thou known? Prophet nor poet, nor tripod nor throne, nor spirit nor flesh can make answer, but only thy mother alone. Mother, not maker, born and not made, though her children forsake her, allured or afraid, praying prayers to the God of their fashion, she stirs not for all that have prayed. A creed is a rod and a crown is of night, but this thing is God, to be man with thy might, to grow straight in the strength of thy spirit, and live out thy life has the light. I am in thee to save thee, as my soul in thee saith. Give thou, as I gave thee, thy life, blood, and breath, green leaves of thy labor, white flowers of thy thought, and red fruit of thy death. Be the ways of thy giving as mine were to thee. The free life of thy living, be the gift of it free. Not as servant to lord, nor as master to slave, shalt thou give thee to me. O children of banishment, souls overcast, were the lights ye see vanish met, always to last. Ye would know not the sun overshining the shadows and stars overpast. I that saw where ye trod the dim paths of the night, set the shadow called God in your skies to give light. But the morning of manhood is risen, and the shadowless soul is in sight. The tree many-rooted that swells to the sky, with frondage red-fruited, the life tree am I. In the buds of your lives is the sap of my leaves. Ye shall live and not die. But the gods of your fashion that take and that give, in their piety and passion that scourge and forgive, thy are worms and are bred in the bark that falls off. They shall die and not live. My own blood is what stanches the wounds in my bark. Stars caught in my branches make day of the dark, and are worshipped, and suns till the sunrise shall tread out their fires as a spark, where dead ages hide under the live roots of the tree. In my darkness the thunder makes utterance of me, and the clash of my boughs with each other ye hear, the wave sound of the sea. That noise is of time, as his feathers are spread, and his feet set to climb through the boughs overhead. And my foliage rings round him and rustles, and branches are bent with his tread. The storm winds of ages blow through me and cease, the war wind that rages, the spring wind of peace. Ere the breath of them roughen my trees, ere one of my blossoms increase. All sounds of the changes, all shadows and lights, on the world's mountain ranges and stream-riven heights, whose tongue is the wind's tongue, and language of storm clouds on earth-shaking nights. All forms of all faces, all works of all hands, in unsearchable places of time-stricken lands, all death and all life, and all rains and all ruins, drop through me as sands. Though sore be my burden, and more than ye know, and my growth have no guerdon, but only to grow, yet I fail not of growing, for light things above me, or death worms below. These too have their part in me, and I too in these. Such fire is at heart in me, such sap is this tree's, which hath in it all sounds, and all secrets of infinite lands and of seas. In the spring-colored hours, when my mind was as maize, the break forth of me flowers by centuries of days. Strong blossoms with perfume of manhood shoot out from my spirit as rays. And the sound of them springing, and smell of their shoots, were as warmth and sweet singing, and strength to my roots. And the lives of my children made perfect with freedom of soul were my fruits. I bid you but be. I bid you but be. I have need not of prayer. I have need of you free. Has your melts of mine air, that my heart may be greater within me, beholding the fruits of me fair. More fair than strange fruit is, of face ye espouse. In me only the root is, that blooms in your boughs. Behold now your God that ye made you, to feed him with faith of your vows. In the darkening and whitening abysses adored, with dayspring and lightning for lamp and for sword. God thunders in heaven, and his angels are red with the wrath of the Lord. O my sons, O too dutiful towards gods, not of me. Was not I enough beautiful? Was it hard to be free? For behold, I am with you, and in you, and of you. Look forth now and see. Lo, winged with world's wonders, with miracles shod, with the fires of his thunders, for raiment and rod. For God trembles in heavens, and his angels are white with the terror of God. For his twilight is come on him, his anguish is here, and his spirits gaze dumb on him, grown gay from his fear, and his hour taketh hold on him stricken, the last of his infinite year. Thought made him and breaks him, truth slays and forgives, but to you as time takes him, this new thing it gives, even love, the beloved republic that feeds upon freedom and lives. For truth only is living, truth only is whole, and the love of his giving, man's pole star and pole, man pulse of my center, and fruit of my body, and seed of my soul. One birth of my bosom, one beam of mine eye, one topmost blossom that scales the sky. Man equal and one with me, man that is made of me, man that is I. Alexa, Volume 3. A Forsaken Garden. In a coinage of the cliff between lowland and highland, at the sea's down edge between windward and lee, walled round with rocks and an inland island, the ghost of a garden fronts the sea. A griddle of brushwood and thorn encloses the steep square slope of the blossomless bed, where the weeds that grew green from the graves of its roses now lie dead. The fields fall southward, abrupt and broken, to the low last edge of the long lone land. If a step should sound or a word be spoken, would a ghost not rise at the strange guest's hand? So long have the gray bare walks lain guestless, through branches and briars, if a man make way, he shall find no life but the sea winds restless night and day. The dense hard passage is blind and stifled. Alexa, Volume 1. That crawls by a track, none turn to climb. The dense hard passage is blind and stifled, that crawls by a track, none turn to climb. To the strait waste place that the years have rifled, of all but the thorns that are touched not of time. The thorns he spares when the rose is taken, the rocks are left when he wastes the plain. The wind that wanders, the weeds wide shaken, these remain. Not a flower to be pressed of the foot that falls not, has the heart of a dead man, the seed plots are dry. From the thicket of thorns whence the nightingale calls not, could she call? There were never a rose to reply. Over the meadows that blossom and wither rings but the note of a seabird's song. Only the sun and the rain come hither all year long. The sun burns sere and the rain dishevels one gaunt bleak blossom of scentless breath. Only the wind here hovers and revels in a round where life seems barren and death. Here there was laughing of old, there was weeping, haply of lovers none ever would know, whose eyes went seaward 100 sleeping years ago. Heart hand fast in heart as they stood. Look thither, did he whisper? Look forth from the flowers to the sea, for the foam flowers endure when the rose blossoms wither, and men that love lightly may die. But we, and the same wind sang, and the same waves whitened, and or ever the garden's last petals were shed, in the lips that had whispered, the eyes that had lightened, love was dead. Or they loved their life through, and then went thither, and were one to the end, but what end, who knows? Alexa, Volume 3. Alexa, Volume 3. Love, deep as the sea, has a rose must wither, has the rose red seaweed that mocks the rose. Shall the dead take thought for the dead to love them? What love was ever as deep as a grave? They are loveless now as the grass above them, or the wave. All are at one now, roses and lovers, not known of the cliffs and the fields and the sea. Not a breath of the time that has been hovers in the air now, soft with a summer to be. Not a breath shall there sweeten the seasons hereafter of the flowers, or the lovers that laugh now or weep, when, as they that are free now of weeping and laughter, we shall sleep. Here death may deal not again forever. Here change may come, not till all changed end. But the graves they have made, they shall rise up never, who have left not living to ravage and rend. Earth stones and thrones of the wild group growing, wild the sun and the rain live. These shall be, till at last wind's breath upon all these blowing roll the sea. Till the slow sea rise and the sheer cliff crumble, till terrace and meadow the deep gulfs drink, till the strength of the waves of the high tides humble, the fields that lessen, the rocks that shrink. Here now, in his triumph, where all things falter, stretched out on the spoils that his own hands spread, has a God self-slain on his own strange altar? Death lies dead. Of such is the kingdom of heaven. Of such is the kingdom of heaven, no glory that ever was shed. From the crowning star of the seven, the crown, the north world's head. That crown, the north world's head. No word that ever was spoken of human or godlike tongue gave ever such godlike token, since human harps were strung. No sign that ever was given to faithful or faithless eyes showed ever beyond clouds riven so clear a paradise. Earth's creeds may be 70 times 7, and blood have defiled each creed. If of such be the kingdom of heaven, it must be heaven indeed. The salt of the earth. If childhood were not in the world, but only men and women grown, no baby locks and tendrils curled, no baby blossoms blown. Though men were stronger, women fairer, and nearer all delights in reach, and verse and music uttered rarer, tones of more godlike speech. Though the utmost life of life's best hours found, as it cannot find words. Though desert sands were sweet as flowers, and flowers could sing like birds, but children never heard them, never they felt a child's foot leap and run. This were a drearier star than ever, yet looked upon the sun. You're welcome. Thank you.
If the empire is defeated, all these issues can be much more easily resolved among them. So Iran supported the Taliban. So, if anyone says here, why did Iran do that? Iran did the same thing in Afghanistan.
10:54 a.m. here.
So, no, Iran
August
doesn't have
4th.
any ambitions beyond its own
2006.
borders. Its borders are big enough. It's big enough, and there's enough